Thank you for joining us today. My name is Brian O'Keefe, and today we're going to show you a little bit about what we do and the niche real estate market that we focus on and invest in. The first thing I have to say is ignore what you've heard up to now about the real estate market. Make no mistake about it, this is the best time to be buying real estate in several decades. Prices are at our bottom, and the federal government are doing their level best to keep long-term interest rates as low as they can. And now is the best time to take advantage of all of this and build wealth for you and your family. We have potential real estate investing opportunities that may be of interest to you, and this presentation will explain the current opportunity in the real estate market, what we do, and specifically how we do it, and how that relates to you as an investor. So a quick agenda for the next few moments. We're going to talk about the company background and how we started investing in real estate and where we see the market going. We're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of private money lending. If you've never invested your money in real estate before, this may be a little bit much for you. If you have invested in real estate in the past and you recognize the benefits of real estate, I think this is going to be an interesting vehicle for you. And we hope that you will listen to the presentation even if you've not invested in real estate before, but you're curious about what this might all be about. We're going to talk about the closing and how secure your investment is, the types of documentation that you get, and really it's the exact same as a regular closing that the bank might do. We're going to talk about a case study for one of our properties where we really show you the return on your investment. And regardless of whether you invest in real estate or whether you invest in stocks and bonds, these numbers will make sense to you because we all invest for a reason. We invest for profit, we invest for a return. And this is going to show you the nuts and bolts of a rental property and how you can achieve the types of returns not available today in the stocks and bonds market. So, I've been involved in buying rental properties for almost 15 years, and I have purposely avoided the flip this house era and concentrated on income producing multifamily properties. Many times when you think about the real estate industry, you think about property prices devaluing, you think of lots of foreclosure situations, and you generally move away from the real estate market. But that's a specific segment of the residential space. We're going to talk about rental properties. And our team and partners come from various different backgrounds, including legal and mortgage industries, and we have many years experience not only rehabbing properties, but also dealing with banks and mortgage companies, negotiating short sales and foreclosures, and buying properties at huge discounts that often never make it to the MLS. And we create value by solving financial problems. How do we do that? We're not a financial company. Well, let's give you an example. A couple of weeks back, we bought a property using private money where the owner declared bankruptcy. He had unpaid taxes and he had both an IRS lien and a City of Philadelphia lien. Working with the city and his bank, we were able to negotiate all the amounts down that were owed on the property. This property also had long-term tenants paying $500 per month for the last 7 years, which is hugely under market, and we were able to buy this property for around $12,000. Now, $12,000, you're thinking that is just nobody can buy a property for 12K. It must be in horrible condition. No, it wasn't. These people have been living there for 7 years, and it is in excellent condition. We paid the bank $9K and they were happy with that. They were owed $30, but they were waiting in line and they may not have ever received anything. We paid both the City of Philadelphia and the IRS negotiated amounts of $1,500 each. So again, buying a property for $12,000 that's making $500 per month. You do the math on the return on the investment there and show me what CD is going to be able to pay that. Now, I know there are expenses, etc., but just to give you a rough idea. We make a point of buying low, but we don't skimp on our renovations when we buy properties that need to be rehabbed. Thus, we guarantee we get quality renters that are willing to pay a little bit extra for a really, really nice place. So we screen these tenants, we make sure we get the right people in there. Now, not every investment is going to be able to return the amounts I just talked about there with the 12K property that we're getting $500 a month. But we're going to show you that there is a hell of a lot of really good investments out there. So how does this whole thing work? First of all, there's a ton of motivated sellers out there right now. These are people that are unfortunately in a financial bind and they can't afford to pay their mortgage anymore. Or these people may have had to declare bankruptcy. Or these people may be just sick of the banks calling them or being late in their mortgage and they realize that they would prefer to be a renter. So we have several different ways that we use to actually get in touch with these buyers. These are publicly available lists, often the people that are on a pre-foreclosure list. And we also have a website, various different websites that we help people to sell their houses quickly. So we provide solutions through them through speed and ease of transaction. So our primary service to someone that needs to sell is the speed of transaction. And the way we can do that is by working with private investors who have cash to spend. We're not going to be putting mortgages on these properties. We often, basically, we will not be able to get mortgages on these properties because the banks are not willing to put mortgages on these properties. But when we find those diamonds in the rough, we approach private money investors and we approach them with a plan. We approach them with the numbers up front and we show them up front what they can earn. So we get these deals under contract and we provide our investors with a due diligence report on the investment. And the terms and conditions are negotiated and we have a formal closing. So using the cash from these private money investors, we were able to buy properties quickly at very deep discounts. So through these investors, we have the ability to make someone a cash offer and close in sometimes days. By providing these services, we often get properties at 40 to 60% below its market value. And these sellers know that selling their property through traditional means can take many, many months, and there's no guarantee that they will sell it at all, especially if they are upside down in their properties where they owe more than their home is worth. That for sale sign will stay outside their property, and they may not get one person, as they may have to advertise that property at a certain dollar amount in order to pay off the banks. But they're not thinking about short sales. That's where we come in. So cash is king. Borrowing cash from private investors allows us to offer these services to these sellers. We offer quick cash closings and we can buy at huge discounts because of it. Speed is the key to closing the deal, and speed is our main service. To close these deals quickly, we don't mind an investor or paying an investor a higher rate of return. Because if we're able to buy a property for 40 to 50% below its market value, we're able to create instant equity and tremendous long-term rental returns on the deal. We don't mind paying 8 to 12% in some cases. And we look at that, it's like profit sharing. We just look at it as if we're sharing some of the profit from these deals with our investors, and these investors are not interested in tenants and toilets. They just want to see the returns on their money each month, and we take care of everything else. So if we buy a property that needs to be refurbished, we buy these properties and we refurbish them to new status. So we're buying them, we're rehabbing them, we're putting on a new roof, we're redoing all the plumbing, we're redoing all the electrical work, we're doing everything up to Philadelphia, City of Philadelphia zoning codes, and we're rehabbing these properties to a quality rental standard. And by doing this, we are able to attract higher end tenants, as I'd mentioned. Now, in some instances, as I told you earlier, we're buying properties that have tenants in them. But oftentimes in today's market, properties have maybe been abandoned. There have been probates where the owners or the heirs cannot afford to take care of properties and they just lay derelict. Or there may be properties where the owners have left because they know that they're going to sheriff sale. So we rehab all of these properties to our own rental standards. So we aim to create a win-win scenario between the seller, investor, and Philadelphia Realty Services. And I guess that would be a win-win-win scenario. But basically, the seller is able to sell their home quickly for cash. In many instances, going through a short sale versus going through a long drawn out foreclosure process, and nobody wants to have a foreclosure on their credit report. Our investor is able to make a very good return on their investment, and our company is able to build equity and solid long-term rental property investments. So that in a nutshell is the four steps that are involved, and in the following slides we're going to go into the detail of what is involved with these four steps. So now let's get into a little bit more detail, and let's start with the end. Let's talk about the closing. One of the first questions we get asked is, what kind of paperwork do I get? Well, you get a mortgage and you get a note. You are secured just like a bank secures itself when they lend money for real estate. The note spells out the terms of the investment, the percentage rate return, the terms and conditions, and the promise to pay back. And the mortgage then secures your investment on a specific piece of property. So the investment is collateralized with a strong income producing asset. Oftentimes, remember, that asset is also procured at 40 to 60% below market value. So God forbid something was going to happen. Worst case scenario is you get to pick up an asset that has been purchased at 50% in some cases below what it's worth. So all of this paperwork is prepared by an attorney. Now you get to choose the attorney, and we will pay the closing costs. Now, granted, we're not going to pay the closing costs of a high-powered attorney, but within reason. We're not going to shoehorn you into using an attorney that we're familiar with. We want you to choose an attorney that you're familiar with, so you're 100% sure your interests are being looked after. We also prepare for you a deed in lieu of foreclosure, and this is our way of putting our money where our mouth is. We have never had anybody even had a reason to trigger this document in our history, but this document allows you to take back the property immediately if we don't honor our commitments to you. You simply bring this paper to City Hall and you file this paper. You don't even have to go through a laborious process. You don't even need an attorney, and you can take that property back. But as I said, we've never ever had anybody had to trigger this, but we want to be sure that you have a plenty documentation, you're very comfortable with your investment, and if for any reason those investment dollars, rental returns, monthly payments were to stop, you have that piece of paper in your hand.